Hey, alright, hey, I'm going to tantalize your taste buds today because today I'm going to be making steak Diane, and it's not too many people know, steak Diane originates from the name Diana, the goddess of the hunt. And tonight we're going to have her steaks to see what she's hunting up tonight. And as you can see, we have some beautiful round eye steaks. Now, I couldn't find any ribeyes at a decent price, but ribeyes are the best to make steak Diane. But if you can't find it, or if it's just too much, then get some round eye. It's the next best thing. But whatever you do not ever use bottom round. No matter how cheap it is, no matter how much you're trying to pinch on money, you want to make good steaks, do not use bottom round. Now, here's what we're going to do with our steak. Since I don't have a meat tenderizer, I am going to use 2 pieces of plastic wrap in order to flatten our steaks and tenderize it up a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay our thick steaks down onto the plastic wrap.
Wow, that's okay.
Just like that. We're going to take another piece of the plastic wrap and lay it right over the top. So that way it's nicely covered and you don't damage your steaks too much. Always make sure that your steaks are covered before you flatten them with something heavy. Now you can use pretty much anything. If you don't have a meat tenderizer, you just use something heavy. A jar would work. Just remember, don't break the jar. And what we're going to do is smash this steak down until it's about a ½ inch thick. Now work the other way. And finally, this one. Came out a little bit. That's all right. Okay, that's good and tenderized. Now, as you can see, these have already been flattened. Now, discard your plastic wrap because you no longer need them. And always best to use tongs to handle your meats to keep your fingers as clean as possible. Put them back on the plate. And we will go to our next step. Okay, now we got our flattened steaks. We're going to take our garlic salt, regular black pepper, and that'll be good for our rubs. So basically we're going to start with our rubs, and you remember how to rub meats. Now we're going to take our meats with the tongs, set it down on the plate like so. We're going to get our black pepper first. And sprinkle black pepper evenly over your steaks. Okay, that should do it. Not too much, not too little, just right. Okay, give it a good shake. Get some around the edges here. Make sure you're covered with black pepper. Okay, now we're going to take that, set it off to the side a little bit, or the other side, and continue for however many steaks you are preparing tonight. Now tonight we're going to be preparing 11 steak Dianes. Okay, so let us go over here and grab what we need to start our sautéing. We need just regular onion shallots and sliced mushrooms. So what we're going to do, we're going to go for our butter. We're going to need just a little bit of butter to saute our veggies. How we're going to do that, it's very simple. We're going to turn this on. Turn it on to medium-high as we get our butter ready. Yes, we always use Imperial in this house. Now, there are 1,000,001 ways to make steak Diane, but tonight I'm going to show you my recipe. Now, some of the people will be able to use garlic salt or actual garlic or just whatever, but I like to use black pepper and garlic salt for your rubs on your meats. We're going to use actual minced garlic, and I prefer thyme leaves to ground thyme. So if you can find the thyme leaves in a bottle like this, do so. We're going to be needing Worcestershire sauce or Worcestershire sauce, however you pronounce it. And for all you alcoholics out there, dry vermouth. I'm using Martini and Rossi tonight because I've already used the Gallo, and it leaves a nice sweet taste in the back of your mouth. Now traditionally, steak Diane is made with brandy, and you can flambe it. Now since dry vermouth is not flammable, we're not going to flambe it. So it's not going to make much of a difference whether you flambe it or not. So now we're getting this skillet nice and hot. Get our butter good and melted. And when it's melted, it'll be hot enough to throw your sauteed vegetables in. But they won't be sauteed just yet, but you know what I'm trying to get at. And there you go. Take your onion shallots, toss them all into your skillet. Then we're going to take our mushrooms, follow suit with that. So that way we have a skillet full of veggies. Get that good and cooked up. We're going to take a spatula and just kind of saute our vegetables like so. Now, when you slice your mushrooms, try to have them nice and thin like this. Nice and thin. Now, if you need a little bit more butter because we're using a lot of vegetables here, then you can use a little more butter. Mainly because you definitely don't want dry veggies in your saute. You want them all sauteed just beautifully. So this will take a little while. Mix it all around as much as you can. Get them as sauteed as possible. Get them a nice golden glaze over everything. And this is going to go over the top of your steak Diane. It's going to be real delicious, so hold on to your taste buds. We're going to about take them for a bumpy ride. Now remember when I say that this meal was named after Diana, the Roman goddess of the hunt. And we are hunting for some real good flavors, and I think we found something. So those of you that are wondering who Diana is, or Diane, and you're not eating the steak of somebody named Diane. This butter dish was acquired at a local antique shop in downtown Columbus. $2, and it's pure silver. I love this thing. Smell this saute. I wish you could smell it. It smells dang good. It smells so good. I am drooling over here. Okay, there's your butter. Get it down into the pan so that way it melts. There's nothing better in the world, no finer smell in the world than sauteed onions and mushrooms both together. I am really building up my hunger level tonight. And this is a very simple meal if you follow it step by step. But you got to do it exactly the way I do because you could easily mess it up. And you don't want to mess up steak Diane because then you don't want the Roman goddess of the hunt to come down and hunt you down. As we go back over here to our saute, and look how nicely coated our mushroom is. That's what we want. So to get all of our mushroom sauteed, keep stirring it around, just like you're making stir fry. You don't want to be stagnant when you make stir fry. Same thing with sauteing vegetables. You don't want to be stagnant too long. Otherwise, you run the risk of burning your saute. Okay, we're going to just take a little spoonful, about like that much for the amount of veggies we have. So about a rounded quarter of a teaspoon of garlic. And there we go. There's the garlic. Getting mixed into our saute. Getting it nice and evenly distributed because you don't want to have garlic in one bite and nothing in another. So you definitely want to make sure you mix this around as thoroughly as possible. And look at the garlic on the bottom there. Now you want to cook this until the garlic is fully sauteed in with your... Now see, notice your mushrooms will shrink. Because remember how big and bulky our mushroom was? It will shrink in here. Because what we're dealing with is a type of fungus. That's what mushroom is a type of fungus. And fungus does shrink in the heat. And it does tend to shrivel up a bit, but since we're using butter to saute it, it won't shrivel, it'll just shrink. That is well sauteed, and you can see the minced garlic all around your saute. And that's what we want right there. So we're going to grab a bowl, just a regular bowl, and we're just going to toss all of our saute into the bowl. So let's do this in a safe manner. Take a spatula and just kind of scoop your saute out into the bowl. There we go.
Smells real good.
Oh, doesn't it? Oh, I love this recipe, and so will you once you know how to make it. And this is my version of steak Diane. Don't let anybody ever tell you that you're making steak Diane wrong, because like I said, there are millions and millions of ways to make steak Diane. This is just one of them, and happens to be my favorite recipe of all time. Okay, that's about as much as you're going to get. Now, you're always going to be left with a few onions here and there, but that's okay, because you can throw your steak in there and use the same skillet. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get out our Worcestershire. We're going to just give it a nice, good splash of Worcestershire sauce. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and put our steaks. Actually, let's go ahead and continue with our rub. We got 2 of them done already. What we really need to do is get another plate so that we can put the finished ones on it. Get your garlic, salt, and continue with your rub. We use a lot of Worcestershire sauce with our recipe, so you're going to need the full bottle, and you will be left with just a tiny bit amount left. And try not to caramelize the bottom of your skillet, folks. So that's alright. If you do, everyone makes a mistake. Now, a lot of you might be asking, now what kinds of side dishes go with steak Diane? Pretty much anything you feel like. You can use mashed potatoes, baked potatoes. I'm having linguine and parmesan. And this is, you can get this at Aldi's for about $1.49 a box. I'm going to make 2 of them. And we already have our ingredients for that in there. This will be for our corn. So I have the entire meal planned out. Now see, now look at this. It's nice and bubbling. Look at how, that's exactly what you want right there. So before any time goes by, grab your steaks. First, reduce your heat down to medium-high, not medium to medium-high. Let it cool down a little bit. And try not to breathe in the fumes too heavily. I'm just going to lay these down gently into our Worcestershire sauce. As many as you can fit in the pan without overlapping. There we go. Yeah, it's strong stuff, isn't it? That's what happens when you cook with Worcestershire sauce. As it gets in the steam, you breathe it in. There we go. That's allowable. You can do that. We'll be making 2 rounds of this stuff. Let's go ahead and turn this back up to medium high. Kind of gauge the temperature because you still want this to really start cooking. Now, while you're doing this, your rub is going to generally mix in with your Worcestershire sauce or Worcestershire sauce. However you try to say it, it's the same stuff. The Worcestershire sauce are going to mix with your rub, which is fine. But what you want to watch out for is, now if you use really thin steaks like this, now you got to watch out that your corners of your steak will not curl up at the ends. You want to keep them as flattened as possible, and also cook these until they're well done. This is, remember, SonicBlu's own recipe. I do mine well done. A lot of people will just sear it and get it nice and medium rare, or even just blood rare. I really don't like blood rare meats. I like nice, well done finish. So I'm going to meet in the middle a little bit and just call it medium. Medium well. So I will meet it somewhere along the line there. Now, when you're cooking with Worcestershire sauce, you'll notice that it's going to be very difficult to tell when your steaks are done. But while you're cooking your steaks, the Worcestershire sauce, or Worcestershire sauce, is marinating itself as it cooks. Hence, inside and out, your meat will look generally like this. Okay, see how that's starting to curl up? It's on the hot side. We're going to go ahead and turn that over so that it prevents from curling up even more, because these thin steaks will start bubbling and curling, so you're going to want to try to flip these as often as possible to prevent that. While I'm watching over this, one day I decided to make steak Diane, but I didn't have any brandy. The first time I made it, I used brandy the traditional way and then flambéed it. But since I didn't have any brandy, the only thing I had was dry vermouth, and I had some left over from when I made martinis. Because my martini recipe calls for gin and dry vermouth, and that's how you make a dry martini. With an olive, shaken, not stirred. So I decided, if I was going to add anything alcoholic to it, let's try dry vermouth and see how that works. Now, if you use brandy with this, it'll still taste pretty good. Especially when you flambe it, you can impress everybody with, look, my meal's on fire, isn't this impressive? You know, fire makes a meal more interesting. But for this purpose, I tried to set fire to it and I realized dry vermouth is not flammable. Oh well, I'll see how this tastes. And I took the first bite. And I didn't detect it right away, but after a couple more bites, I just started to distinct a sweet taste way in the back of my taste buds. And it was just absolutely divine. I wanted more of this, but unfortunately, I didn't make enough to really enjoy steak Diane. This time, I made enough to satisfy about 3, maybe 4 people. Depends on how hungry they are. And I'm pretty hungry, so I'll probably be indulging in some of these good steaks. Now, that's pretty well cooked up, and you notice that some of your steaks have shrunk. So when you get to that point, take your dry vermouth here, and all you're going to need to do is just splash it. Give it a couple of good splashes, maybe even a third one. There you go. That's all you really need on vermouth. Now, let the rest of that cook in. Smell that vermouth. Woo, baby! This is what we call cooking with alcohol. Now don't worry, because you're not going to get drunk off of this, because the heat is going to neutralize the effects of the alcohol. So that way, the chances of you getting drunk off of this ain't going to happen. What we're looking for is the flavor, and that's the purpose of cooking with alcohol. You're looking for the flavor that can only come from using alcohol. And that's what we're going to be doing here. So remember, don't cook to get drunk, and don't drink to get drunk either. But then again, I sometimes run into that problem and forget. Look at that. Beautiful steaks. Now with the rest of your sauce, there are sauteed onions and mushrooms, and we're going to drop them right back into the pan. This is going to help produce our sauce when we drizzle it over our steak Diane. So we're going to just give it a quick cook in our sauce. Grab your spatula, do like that. And put back some of the flavor.
Good.
Yeah. Put back some of the flavor of your sauté into the sauce. And as you can see, we have a beautiful mixture of all of our seasonings and spices, our vermouth and Worcestershire sauce, and our sautéed veggies. Okay, that looks beautiful. Before we put our sautéed vegetables on, we're going to take some fresh parsley, and we're just going to garnish this on the top with a little parsley. And we're just going to take some of the sautéed veggies and just sprinkle it right over your steak Diane. There we go, look at that. Now we have steak Diane. Made possible by your friends at the Old Poppet Show, and done by yours truly, SonicBlu Darkfold. That is how you make steak Diane. And this is a wonderful dish. Try to use all of your sautéed vegetables. You don't want to be left with any left over. It will all go onto your steaks. Now even if you have to build a mountain of sautéed vegetables, do so.
For complete recipes, send an email to sonicblu@yahoo.com. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you're not cooking good, you're not eating good. Bye for now.